Okay, so the goal of today is to write a file concatenator. If you remember, in the last session, we collected all the necessary data about the text spans, and we also have the corresponding files on the hard drive now. So all we need to do is to write a file concatenator that doesn't just concatenate the entire files together, but only portions of each file. And that will be a new tool, small tool in our automated workflow. We need to start a new tool for it. So let's start. I think it goes into the HDX directory because that tool will take the span information as input, so it is hypertext related and not a general tool. I mean, it could be a general tool, but I guess the spans only make sense in the context of text, because with other files, byte ranges and the direction probably doesn't make too much sense. Later, maybe we can still move it to another location. I'm not so sure. I guess the EDL to no. Okay, I renamed that the last time. Okay, so I guess that goes into the HDX directory. We create a new directory here, and the name will be, let's call it, should we call it text concatenator or a file concatenator or span concatenator? Spans is maybe too specific. Text is too broad. File is too system dependent, because it could also be eventually concatenation of data from a database. Okay, I mean, we can rename it later anyway. So let's call it span concatenator. Okay, we have to adjust the makefile here. Let's not forget to update the copyright notice. Or maybe we should go just with text concatenator. And yeah, I think that's, I mean, I just changed my mind because we can say that the start position and length is some kind of optional. I mean, the fact that it can also concatenate only portions of different files, that will be an extra feature, a more specialized feature, but in general, we could also use it for file concatenation. So maybe we should just call it text concatenator, and then it's not HDX tool anymore, not hypertext related. It's like a general purpose tool for the publishing. workflows. So I remove it here from here again. Maybe it's a better idea because we can make, I mean, the plan would be to use it in other contexts as well. I don't think that I have a concatenator already. Let's see. The point of re-implementing basic operating system tools like concatenation is that most of those utilities are system dependent. And with Java, if I re-implement them in Java, then I don't have to rely on the system specific tools and implementations, so it will work out of the box with no dependencies. So what I see here is that we have HTML concatenate, but there's not a general tool for basic text files. Let's see. Oh, it didn't find anything, so it's not looking for file names, but in the files, and also we don't have here, we don't have. And there's also a change in the name. I guess most of the files don't have a verb anymore, or let's say the transformator is called transformator, but not transform. Maybe it would have been smarter to call it transform. Let's call it concatenate. Let's discover. It would be smarter to call it discover and hash and retriever, but it's like, okay, it's not the most important thing in the world. So let's go with text concatenator and adjust the make file, of course, as always. So text concatenator. And I would like, as always, copy the boilerplate code. Maybe we have something that's a little bit similar. Let's see, just go with the HTTPS client. Doesn't matter. Okay. This makefile needs adjustment too, of course. That's from 2018. Digital publishing tools. That's text concatenator, not file concatenator. Okay. And then did I adjust this one? Yes, I did. Strange. Okay. Text concatenator 1. And now I'm not too sure if it is the best idea to have the HTTPS client as our template, HTTP client, HTTPS client, because they might be a little bit old, probably. I mean, if I did some updates, I want to benefit from that updates just as well. I guess I cannot use the resource retriever because it has the workflow in the name everywhere. So see, there's workflow in there everywhere. So, but it's probably not the best idea to use one of the workflows, but maybe change instructions executor. Maybe that's maybe a good pick. That should be one of the most recent ones, one of the most recent tools. So unfortunately, I think the back button should do okay. And now up. Let's have a look here. Okay. So text concatenator, remove everything here. Okay. And the idea would be to get rid of the class files at first, because why keep them? Next, we start with the usual adjustments. Text one. Come on, please. That's until 2018. Some copy and paste job here, or replacement, all of which, all of that isn't the right way to do it. I know we are not in HTX, we are in the main directory. Okay, and I wrote this file. I mean, I didn't, but I did copy the file on what is the date today. That's okay. Let's see, program termination. Exception, this was the change instructions executor. Okay, we don't have any remaining mention of the original file left in our copy, so we can continue. This is the text concatenator 1. And change instructions executor 1 has to go. Most of this isn't really exciting work. It's rather boring, but on the other hand, I don't want to do that off stream, maybe because that can lead to a substantial part of the code. I mean, in the main program, we have quite some adjustments, so maybe it's important to be able to follow those changes from the in the GitHub repository. So 2018, here again, text concatenator. Okay. Of course, we have a info message and program termination exception as always. They are more or less part of the framework. We always need them to some extent, or at least something similar. And I guess probably we don't even need another file here, another module or class. That should be sufficient. So internet internationalization I do off stream, of course. I don't like the localization, the translation work. I do that off screen, but for the tool to work in case of error messages, I think we have to at least rename them because it will try to load them eventually. So we have the text concatenate1 console property files. So that's text concatenate 1, 2. I'll just open them really quickly and adjust the header comments at least, so I don't have to do that later. I mean, just if I'm renaming the header comments, the copyright notices, maybe I want to make sure that I don't miss any of those. So maybe I should do them now and then leave it as they are. Okay. And one remaining mention here. Okay, fine. And of course, there's the job file. Here we claim that this is a new one because it should look significantly different from the change instructions executor one, of course. Okay. Text concatenate one job. One job. And now, let's see. Output file is fine. Let's make a group of input files. That would be the input group, and we could say concatenate, or we can say concatenation, concatenate, path, input txt, start 0, length, oh, who knows, something like that. I mean, in this case, we cannot provide reasonable default values. Yeah, find and replace. Yeah, sure, but on the other hand, I'm a little bit suspicious or paranoid that it like replaces mentions where it matters, because I have some kind of workflows. I guess not in this case, but sometimes I have workflows where I call the tools automatically, and yeah, maybe it should work to some extent. Okay, I claim that there's an input file 2, it will have a different file span, and just to demonstrate that those files can be mixed, I guess we repeat the first mention, so we have exactly the same in the same source file, and we have the exact same text span. It could be different, of course, right? But the point is to suggest that those concatenation instructions, that they are completely arbitrary. The tool is supposed to concatenate together whatever instructions are in here, regardless of. I mean, at least it will check that we don't have a start position which is negative or beyond the length of the file, and that the length doesn't go beyond from the start position beyond the file. That's kind of important to check that, right? Because otherwise the user would wonder why the result isn't as expected. It looks like I lost the output. Oh yeah, I just overwrote this accidentally. So let's redo that and paste the specification of the output file. Okay. So that should be the job file, and now we need to do some more boilerplate stuff. Let's see. Okay, let's do some replacement here. Let's see. Control R. Okay. Change instructions. Executor becomes text concatenate 1. Replace all. Then there's the version with the minus. That's usually in tag names and stuff like that. Let's replace all 4 replacements. And then there should be the version with the camel case for the Java files. Executor 1. That's text concatenator 1. That should be also 1 replacement. Yeah, sure, that's the reference, like the file name of the localization files, of the resource files. Okay. Now I wonder if that already builds. Let's see. I guess I need another terminal here. Desktop. At the moment, it's not really interesting. We don't do actual work at the moment. It's just preparing for the session. So that's text concatenator. Let's make it. Okay, of course, that's fine. Let's see if we get, yeah, okay. We also clean removes all the class files. That's nice. So now I guess we can start with the actual work to some extent. It should be pretty straightforward and easy. I guess I will also copy some of my existing code. Of course, this has to be adjusted. Wait. And those are the problems with the automatic replacement. I guess the for example, the comment paths, they don't update if I do a replacement, right? I also don't want to. Oh wait a second. Let's see. Oh, I opened the same file twice. That was not my intention. I want to look at the program termination exception. Okay, that's adjusted, of course. And here I have to do that manually, of course. That's text text concatenator, because there's the one missing, right? So it did the replacement, but oh no, why did it do the replacement? Did I do it like? Oh no, it's correct. So the file name is text concatenator one, and the directory name is also text concatenator one, but of course it wasn't able to change the name of the program from where we copied that code. So we have to adjust that manually and give a short description of this tool. Text concatenator, that can also just concatenate, that can also concatenate specific portions of several input files. Okay, let's leave it like this. Right. 14, and I'm going to disable all of the imports. So I will find out if some of that is actually used. I guess I will change that to 2018 and not have a span for that. And now I have some issues like executor that like names and stuff for the actual instance for this tool. So I guess, I hope I can replace that without any side effects. Maybe that should be a generic name. If I end up in improving the tool infrastructure, maybe that will be a generic name. Concatenate to replace all 8 replacements. Okay. And here the minus notation for XML files. Okay, that looks okay. That looks good. Arguments missing. Text concatenator 1. Fine. Okay, I get rid of the. Okay. So what do we have here? Of course, that's checking the job file. Text concatenator 1 isn't okay. And the input files. So how did we do that in the? I think it makes a lot of sense to just also copy the last time from the EDL fulfiller. I think it's the BandInfo class. Yes, we need that for the concatenation too, so we can read the data in from the job file. So it's a little bit easier for us to handle the input files. BandInfo, okay. So we need to add that to the make file, of course, right? Because otherwise we are going nowhere. So that's we want to compile the BandInfo class. Required is the BandInfo Java file, and that's the command to produce it. And of course, our main program requires the BandInfo class file. And we just want to add it to the remove, to the clean target BandInfo. So, okay, that's from the workflow. So we text concatenator 1. Yeah, we also need to remove the workflow. This is not a workflow. This is kind of standalone tool. I mean, I have standalone tools and then workflows which call a sequence of standalone tools. So that's some kind of general terminology for this kind of stuff. Okay. And those bands are not from the input file, but identifier resource start and length. Yeah, I mean, let's say specifies a portion of text within a file. So, yeah, I mean, we could also say manages or contains references. Let's say references, that's better. That's neutral, that's general enough. So the point would be that this is just like a general reference for a portion of text, and whoever uses it, I mean, the portion can be used for different purposes. In our case, we want to do concatenate portions together, but as far as BandInfo class is concerned, it doesn't know too much what it will be used for, so the identifier will be is gone. We don't care about it anymore because we resolved that, so the identifier has to go, but the rest is still. And I guess we can also say we don't like. I mean, we don't talk about it in terms of a resource in web terms, but it's actually a file, literally. I mean, we could also say something like data, because in the future maybe we don't want to work only with files, but it could also be from a database or from a stream or something like that, right? I mean, but at the moment it's not abstracted enough to support that. For the moment, we only work with files all the time. I think it's not too bad for now. So, okay, I think we don't need to set the resource ever again, because we don't do some kind of replacement at a later stage or something like that, right? So, I mean, because we don't we don't create new objects of the BandInfo class and just leave it with the identifier, and then later at the actual file. That's not something we need to do anymore. So pretty simple. It's just, I mean, all this work is just to have nice names and interfaces. Like, it's more like specifying those tools is also some kind of standardization work, or like interface design, because those names can be transferred to other programming languages eventually. Okay, so what I want to do is to have a look at the workflow, the fulfill workflow, because then I can save some more time by copying some of the methods of reading the input or constructing span uh, the span info classes. So what we did is a list, of course, a chronological list that's like an ordered list. It's ordered according to the appearance of the uh, input tags. It's not actually input tags, but concatenate tags. Let's have a look at the job file again. Maybe we want to use a different name for it. Concatenate input. Let's call it file. I mean, usually I don't do that, but maybe it's better than let's say text file. Of course, you can also use it to concatenate binary data, probably, as long as Java strings don't crash with it. Text file path. I think that's like reasonable, isn't it? Okay. So we are going ahead and reading the input file. Of course, as usual, we arrive at text file elements. That's text file element, and we have a queue name. We will have different, I mean, more attributes like the obligatory path and then start and a length. And a length, of course. And all of those attributes are required. There's no way around them. Okay, I guess we check the path attribute first. Okay, that's fine. And this doesn't make a lot of sense because there's not a single input file anymore. So what we will do is no, this isn't relevant anymore. This was just checking if the input file was specified more than once, but this doesn't apply here anymore because we want to support multiple input files. So path attribute is absolute. Okay, we translate that to a relative path if it's not absolute. Then we get the canonical path from it, and then we check if the file is existing and readable. Okay, that's this part, and then there's we need to sanity check the other attributes. That's the start attribute. It's missing an attribute. That's start. And of course also length. Let's see. Okay. And then we want to check those numbers, I guess. I think I did it also here. Yes. Oh, I would have been able to just, I guess I will just copy this portion right here. That's checking. Should I not check? Okay, it does the checking before any of the calculations because any interpretation. Yeah, I mean, maybe it makes sense to check the presence of the attributes first, so we don't need to analyze the file if some of the other attributes should be missing. That makes sense, I guess. So if all required attributes are present, then we check if the file is available, and then we also do our verifying that the number attributes are actually number attributes. So I think we are already able down here. That's but except that the list is not called span infos, or is it still right? I mean, yeah, we didn't change that. So that's span infos. Can we leave it like that? Probably. Let's see. Okay. And here we have an input file. What I also want to check while reading the input file is things like if the numbers are negative. I mean, eventually it maybe makes sense for the length, so you can. It would be able. I mean, I did the change tracking editor, and there, if you have negative numbers, that removes text, and you could also use it to give direction, or like, I mean, it doesn't matter if you have a higher start and then a negative. I mean, sure, that's always possible, but why translate negative lengths to a new start position that lies before the start position that was specified, making it the end position? That, I mean, that's an extra step, and I don't want to bother with that right now. So I guess we just check that they are not negative. If start number is, wait a second, is less than 0, and if length number is less or equal than 0, I mean, there's no point in length of 0, and I did it. I put in those incorrect exceptions here, so I'm remembered that they are still missing. I need to translate them. I mean, it's not only to translate, but some of those old messages I can reuse, and here I have to write a new one, so it's easier to find them later. To Yeah. Okay, and I also have to check if any of those exceeds file boundaries, but at the moment I didn't look at the input file yet, so there's still some time left to do that later. Okay, so the output file, that should be the same code. Then we have we want to check if there's something to do. We say span infos. How is it called in Java to check for an empty list? Is it empty, right? I don't recall. Is empty, yeah. Every programming language has its own names for the same thing. And I also need to adjust this message, of course, because that would be pretty misleading. Output should be the same, of course, right? And now I guess all we have to do is to loop over. How do you do a for each in Java? I don't know. Every language has its own syntax. For each, for, okay. That will be the main loop. Which actually does the work. And this span info object is coming from span infos. And what we do in here is opening the file, jumping to the position as specified by start, and then writing an amount of characters as specified by length into the output. I guess the output file is not opened yet. That is something we need to do, right? So this entire thing will go into a try catch block. Let's see if I have. I mean, maybe I don't even need to write that part myself. No, of course not, because there should be. I mean, even in this file in here, there should be plenty of code that's writing to the output. So let's see, where can we get some of that? I guess this code is pretty much what we need. Something like that. Yep. That should be just what we need. So let's see. Yeah, up here. So here we have to open the output file, and that's not XML, of course. Here we will write our own. Here we will write the bytes we got from the input files, and this is of course not an option. We need to throw a proper exception in this case. Okay. Okay. And in this try catch block, there will be our loop. So our file remains open and we can write to it at any time. That's the plan. So here we loop about over the input files, and of course what we can yeah, then we need a reader and not an XML reader. I don't. Where do I get some reader code? I probably have some in here. I mean the parsers. The parsers, they should have some text file reader capabilities. Let's see, do I have the EDL to XML parser should have like the tokenizer, that should have some EDL to XML, that should have some EDL parser Java. That's the actual parser, but the tokenizer should be in here, and there should be code to to read some of it. Okay, I don't care too much. I'll just copy all of those. No, wait. Did I change the wrong file? Oh, yes, I did. Oh, man, that's so unfortunate. Okay. Okay, not a big problem, I guess, because let's see what I did here. That's string builder output instruction. Okay. Oh, okay. Because in this copied code there would be like the writer. Okay, but anyway, let's make sure that I didn't miss something. Right. What's this code? What's this code? The writer, the loop. What else do we need? And I saved this check here. Okay, so I have to be really careful on check-in to not modify the EDL fulfiller one. Oh, there's even more. Okay, I guess I changed the entire doc file reading. It looks like as if I did just that. But why do I have similar code in here? I mean, it's pretty confusing, isn't it? Output file, input file. Okay, this one is lacking. It's just reading a single input file, and it's also lacking the span infos list, of course. So I just have to be careful that I don't. Oh, I have it twice. That's the point. I think I reading the input file. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I think we are up to date again. Yeah. That was the list. Reading of the, and here we have the span info list, of course. Oh, wait. That needs to be up here, of course, and it is, right? So I don't need to specify it 2 times, of course not. That would result in a build error, okay? So I think now we are good again. And in here, I think I can just safely remove this whole portion and then be okay again. So I will close this file to not accidentally write into it again. So, okay, what we have here, where are we? That's reading the job file, of course, right? I have these span infos available, but I don't need to do that twice. Why do I have the code twice? Did I just copy it? Yeah, maybe. Maybe I did. Okay. And then now, after we found out that there's actually something to do, we have some span infos in the list. Then we prepare the output file, then we loop over the span info list here. Now I have to open the example again. I closed it accidentally. So that will be, I need to find the location of reading, and that's the reader right there. Oh no, don't collapse the method in the editor. So that's the reader. I will copy it, including the try catch block, because we want to react on. I mean, we don't want to leave the exception handling the catches to the outer loop. No, to the outer to the outer try block, which is the one for reading the output file, because otherwise we would print just the wrong messages. So if we have the span information object, then we will be able to go ahead and read the input file, span info get file. That should be fine. Of course, we exclusively work with UTF-8. And then what we need to do, now it's the question what we can do about how we can buffered reader, if the buffered reader is capable of jumping to a certain location. Let's have a look. Marks the present. No, we want to skip. Yeah, that looks like it's the number of characters to skip. And I guess at the beginning we stand at the position 0 of the entire file or stream, so we can, on opening, we can skip from there to the expected location, and we want to make sure that we really jump to the specified location. So that's, I mean, it looks like this interface doesn't, or like it's like class or interface doesn't have a way to check the file size. We don't need that. I mean, maybe you can like ask the reader, or maybe there are other ways to find that out, but we don't really care, because if we skip not enough characters, then we know that we went beyond the file size, right? I mean, I don't know for sure, but like, let's say maybe there are other reasons where skip could fail, because let's say there's a stream error and we don't get IO exception. Maybe that means that, I mean, a different return value other than what was provided by N could be an indicator for other problems, like, I don't know. But in case it happens, okay, then anyway, that means if it happens, it means we didn't arrive at the position we wanted to arrive to. So that would be an error just as well. So I guess it's safe to abort for further processing in this case anyway. So why do we need another try block? I don't think we need another try block. We already have one here. What is this one catching? Nothing, right? The same things, maybe. I don't know. Let's see. Let's find it out. So if the reader is opened, what we do is skip span info get start characters and just a simple check. If that fails, of course, we are going to abort further processing, of course. Okay. And then what we want to do, we want to read, let's see, we want to read, that looks okay. What's the offset good for? Offset at which to start storing characters. Okay, I guess we will like loop over the input file from the current start position in 1024 character blocks, as you tend to do for like copying operations. I guess I have some code in the setup. For quite some time I didn't use the setup anymore, but there should be code in here, so I don't have to take care of for the byte to character transition myself. I hope that it will be more convenient to copy this code portion. So that's the buffer, and there's code to do it. Yeah, I mean, of course, we need to do a loop here. Let's see how we go about that. I think what we need to do is that absolute? Offset? No. That's, of course, that's always the offset of our buffer array here. And what we want to read is buffer length. Yeah, how do we do that? Let's see. Maybe we put a new integer in here. Remaining characters. That's BandInfo dot get length. So I guess we changed it to do while loop because we have to do at least one read in any case. And if we are doing that, we can also say It's a while true loop, right? And here we do the actual reading int red. And here it gets a little bit tricky. I mean, I could use a ternary operator to determine remaining characters is bigger than 1024, then 1024. Otherwise, remaining characters, right? So this means we, let's see. Is it okay if we put a new int on the stack on every iteration? I think we should not optimize that right now. Who cares? I guess it's okay. Now, if bytes red is smaller than remaining characters, so in case we have a number bigger than 1024, that means that because of the ternary operator, we will still read 1024, and remaining characters will be larger. That's, yeah. Okay, let's do it this way with just more conditions. So if if remaining characters is larger than our buffer size and bytes red is smaller than 1024, or remaining characters is smaller or equal 1024 and bytes red is below remaining characters. It needs to be equal, right? I mean, if it's larger, then okay, that would be like a surprise, but I think that condition and statement is correct. If it is larger than 1024, then we adjusted it to be 1024 with the ternary operator. So that means in that case, we expect to be precisely 1024 characters to be read. And if we are below the 1024 or at the 1024 character limit, buffer limit, then we want to have read exactly what is specified in the else case of the ternary condition here. So if this case ever triggers, then of course we want to exit because something went terribly wrong, obviously. So then we have the bytes in the buffer, which means that we can write them to output. And I hope that it works like that. I'm almost sure that it doesn't, right? Right, I think we have to do it like this because probably there's no overloaded method that takes the buffer as it is. No, we can't, because the buffer, it's not null termination. There could be old data in the buffer still, right? So what we need to do is write from buffer from position 0 and then bytes red. So that's I guess a safe thing to do. Remaining characters minus equals bytes red. If, and what we want to do is we want to keep remaining characters. Let's see. Larger than 0. If we are at 0, then we then the length was was a was a multitude of 1024, our buffer size, and if we are below it, then we had then something went wrong, and otherwise, if it is below 1024, of course, that will be reduced to 0 too. So that should be it, I guess. We want to close the reader. Right. We can get rid of all of this stuff here. Maybe there are maybe some of this is a suggestion, like work with ints instead of a char, instead of a byte buffer. Let's see. I'm not too sure if any of that is needed. Maybe it works out of the box. It should be fine for text. Okay. Maybe there needs some more consideration to be put in at a later stage, because it can one can run into problems eventually. Okay. Reader close. No, flush, and those measured messages are incorrect. I want to adjust them later. But that should be pretty good. We don't have, I mean, this like closing mechanism isn't the best one, because let's imagine something went wrong in the catch clause. We don't have any flushing or closing, right? So, okay, on program termination, I hope that resources will be released again and not blocked, but I don't know for sure. So that's things we might want to look at in the future to make sure that that stuff is properly closed in the case of exception occurrence. But it should be good enough for now. So I think that's basically it, isn't it? I mean, we like copy the stuff, then we close the reader. That's it. Huh. That was surprisingly fast to some extent. I mean, maybe it works out of the box. Of course, it won't compile right now, right? Because the problem is there are many imports which are disabled at the moment. So they would like their that the fact that they are missing will lead to a lot of errors. I'm just checking really quick if the text replacement went wrong. Thanks to Kant, I guess, right? Let's see. Let's see. Okay. Now comes the boring part again. Like make is failing all the time. Okay. Oh, BandInfo. Yeah, sure. I didn't. Looks like I didn't update it properly for the new names. So BandInfo is over here, and that's not resource anymore, but file. Okay. Yeah, and here we are at the import. Okay, but at least it fits into my terminal buffer. That's quite some help, right? Because otherwise I need to redirect it into a local file, output log file, and I don't want to do that. So I guess we split the screen into half, so I can look at the list of missing things and still. So let's see. Okay, I guess the list is first because it's also needed for the class design, for the info message list and stuff like that. So I guess it's complaining about that at first. Yeah, I mean, some Java IDEs, I guess, will remove the unused imports references automatically. Not in my case. I have to do that manually at the moment. Okay, but I guess hopefully we can go through it really quick. File output stream, because most of the stuff should be pretty similar to the code from the tool we copied this code from, right? So string writer we have over there. Then there's the print writer, so that should be print writer file not found exception, unsupported encoding exception, IO exception. Okay, let's clear those. Save another attempt to build it. I just want to look here, over here. What do we have here? Okay. Some of the stuff doesn't work as expected, but not. I mean, in the code, it's over here on my other machine. Okay, fine. Where are we? Some more imports to bring back again into the game. Let's see. XML input factory. Sure, that's the same stuff as always. File input stream. Then we go down event reader XML event. That's reading the job file. Start element, attribute, QName, all of these stacks stuff, streaming API for XML. And there are many uses of attribute and of course QName, XML stream exception. That's pretty standard. And here we are at the imports for the new code, and we already have the list and error list imported, so that shouldn't be an issue. So what do we have here? Cannot find symbol variable x. There I copied an exception 438, but that needs to be null. That's a standard standard message, and I will replace it anyway off screen with a decent message. So we just make it build here, right? So buffered reader, that's actually new stuff. Buffered reader, where is it? Do we even have it here? Yeah, we have it, of course. Put it in there. Let's see what's still missing. Get length, possible lossy conversion. Okay. If we change that to long, that means that we have probably a lossy conversion here, because like remaining characters here, maybe read will only take an int. I don't know. Let's give it a try. Yeah, no suitable method found. Int and long. Yeah, that's the problem now, right? So we have to do some crazy casts anyway, but I really don't want to do that. So maybe there's some kind of cheap exit or escape from this problem. What we can do is just change the remaining characters back to int, and also in the BandInfo change the data type to int2. That's cheap and bad and doesn't make a lot of sense, but yeah, maybe there can be some adjustment in the future to get to have it support even longer names eventually at one point. So now it's possible with other tools like the order span info class, right? This class probably still has the long. Of course, it has still the long, because that's where we copied this code. So it will be able to write span info portion specifications, which fit into a long, but lead to an overflow in int. But okay, that's how it is for now. Not the best thing to have in the code, but length number 449. So sure, of course, length number is an int now, and that's integer maybe, right? Okay, parse int. I hope it will be satisfied with that, hopefully, right? Let's see. Come on. Byte int not supported, no suitable method. I think that's char. Okay. I don't really care as long as Unicode characters. It doesn't even have to be like Unicode aware. It just needs to copy those bytes one by one, right? Even if I'm copying those byte blocks between Unicode character boundaries, right? Cut it into half. I don't care, because the other bytes will follow in a second, so that doesn't matter too much. Remaining characters, there's just a typo 558. That needs to be characters, not character. Okay. I was a little bit too optimistic. I should read a flush. That's unknown. Okay, okay. I mean, maybe there. Well, let's see. Read. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I guess on closing it will be flushed anyway. Does the writer have a flush? I don't know. I don't care. Input file, not 590. Down there, there's no input file. Why? Because it never existed. That makes sense. Error while reading. That's not really a reading, like reading path. No. Just some notes to myself. Looks ugly, doesn't work, but okay. I don't like to do those kind of things really quick, just to have it built. Okay, give it another try. And I missed a comma. No, I kept a comma where there shouldn't be one. Okay, it built. So now we should have a concatenator that works manually. I don't know if it works as expected, but now let's say we make a new job file. That job file is called job file 2. And now it comes handy that we have the that's now a super cool thing, right? Because now we can go ahead and say in the let's do it like this. That's the job file, right? We want to have a new job file 2. And in our tool collection, we have HTX, and in here we have UI, and maybe even workflows. Let's see, because there's even a workflow for text position retrieval. So let's call the workflow. Oh no, wait, that's maybe not a GUI workflow, UI workflow, or maybe this, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Fine, file picker. Okay, so now what I will do is open this job file 2, right? Let's go there. This is from the current directory. We need to go to the text concatenator 1, respectively. And here we have our job file 2. And now I can use the text position retrieval to find the spans I want to concatenate together. And the trick will be, this file is supposed to reference itself. And now I don't have this format down here. That's for Ted Nelson's EDL format, right? So I'm not a fan of that too much in terms of it doesn't help me here because my spans in this case are written in the XML form. So unfortunately, I have to adjust that really quick. So that's HDX GUI text position retriever, and no, I think. Oh no, that's maybe a little bit tricky because this text position retriever has its own job file. The workflow has its job file. And it passes the format string to the text position retriever job file that will be generated from it. So what we can do here, we have a format string and we can adjust that. So I can say like start equals oh wait, how can I do that? That will be I escape it in XML. That's quote, and that will be the number. And don't forget to close the quotes. And then there will be a length attribute. Oh wait, no. I have to keep those the format string characters, but I will also embed this into XML quotes, something like that probably. Let's see if it works. Maybe it will also lead to some unexpected errors. Okay, so text concatenator, job file 2. And is it a complete mess? Is it or not? Still the file is old. Okay, I cannot work with the old file. I need to save the new job file, otherwise I will already at this early stage have oh, okay, maybe it's a problem. I mean, if I adjust it, this will change the retrieved positions. It's because that's the problem, that we don't have the change tracking text editor. Okay, but still I can like reference spans from above here, I guess, right? That should be safe, right? So I mean, what I'm trying to describe is, in case I put a large number here, the consecutive start positions will change for spans that are specified down here. So I guess I will just reference text that's up there for this short. I mean, it's just I want to see if it works. And if that ends up in the output. So let's give the text position retriever another go. And we need to go to the text concatenator and we want to open the job file 2. And that's the very job file we are looking at to add the is distributed in the hope. In the hope is a nice, hope is always good. So now we have like space, like according to the format string, we have this prepared format, which is pretty cool for me to just copy it and paste it as XML attributes, right? And we will do that twice, just to demonstrate that it is possible in general. In the hope, Free Software Foundation, Indie Hope. Okay, there's now a problem because we need spaces, right, between that stuff. So in here I have one extra space, and then I need to get one extra, which could be the repeated space from here. So hopefully we end up with in the hope space, free software foundation space, in the hope. That's the plan. And now let's run our, maybe it's still, I closed the text precision retriever because maybe the file is on exclusive lock. I don't want that to happen, of course, right? So now let's start our tool for the first time and see if it crashes or if it works out of the box. We want to execute job file true, and we have a result info XML file as usual. Okay, we don't have any complaints. Let's see if that's already successful. That would be nice. Text concatenator. Where's the output file? There's the output file. Yeah, as expected, in your hope, free software foundation, in your hope. So that's it. Yeah, the text concatenator works. It's like pretty decent, I guess, right? So all we have to do now is to add that to our workflow. Now the question is if we have the okay. I mean the EDL fulfiller is one. The EDL fulfiller. I mean, there's basically there's the option to have a tool, or let's say to have two tools, right? Or nodes. You could also call them nodes. You could have two tools and then build a workflow above those two. Then you have a third tool that's supposed to interact with the other two or with the workflow. They are bundled together too. And so you build a second workflow to work to group the third tool with the two existing ones with the workflow. And then you want to add a fourth tool. So you build a workflow of the fourth tool plus the existing workflow above, like grouping the existing three tools, which is, and so you have in the end some kind of cascade or like onion routing, like an onion with many layers of workflows, and each layer only adds one tool. But in this case, this EDL fulfiller is like one specific. It's not that it makes a lot of sense to consider the span information without outside of the context of EDL fulfilling. So I guess it's kind of okay to call to not have this cascading workflow groups, I guess. So the EDL fulfiller right here, of course, that was adjusted to 2018 because, well, accidentally, I guess. No. Oh, no, I did stream that and work on it in 2018. And so after we have all of that, we don't need to print that anymore. We need to, oh, come on, okay. I guess, so what we need to do is to write a job file for the text concatenator and then have another result information file and check if the call was successful. I guess I'm not doing that today, but in another stream. And then we finally have the full infrastructure to just put in a few IDs and span information, and then have the workflow retrieve all of those resources in full and concatenating specific portions of the text together into one single file. So in the end, that single file will be the basis for the resulting document. And on top of that, okay, then there's more layers of other stuff, but that will construct the basic text. And I think that's it for this session now. I will put up a new description on this side here for explaining that in the next session we want to call our result from today by the EDL fulfiller workflow. And I mean, that's not really complicated. We can do that manually right now, as I demonstrated. And so it's just some more typing work. It's not terribly difficult or something like that. And so that should be it for now.